measuring your blood pressure. Is that okay with you?
Okay.
Okay. What is your name?
Sunita.
Okay. And what is your age?
42.
Okay. Have you had coffee, tea, smoked or exercised for last 30 minutes?
No.
Okay. So just wait for 5 minutes. I'm going to wrap this around your arm, feel the pulse and listen to the beat. It might be uncomfortable, but it's the way how it is done. So is that okay with you?
Okay.
Just put your hand on the table. May I raise your sleeves? Palpate brachial artery. Place the cuff mark on the brachial artery. Place the stethoscope diaphragm on brachial artery. Note the level when you hear sound of at least 2 consecutive beats. This is systolic pressure. Deflate until last sound disappears. Record it as diastolic pressure. Okay, so your blood pressure is 110 by 80, which is normal. Record the blood pressure as systolic over diastolic. If you find blood pressure high, that is more than 140 over 90, then check the other arm and record the higher reading.
Begin your physical examination with a good hand hygiene. We will test visual acuity for both the eyes separately, starting with the right eye. Before the test, ask the patient if he or she wears contact lenses. Patient using contact lenses should wear them during the entire test for correction and should remove reading glasses which can blur the vision. To test the distant vision, use Snellen's chart and position the patient 20 feet away from the chart. Ask the patient to cover right eye with card and read the smallest line possible. If the patient cannot read the largest line, position the patient closer to the chart. Identify the smallest line where the patient can read more than half of the letters and record the visual acuity. Visual acuity of 20 by 20 is a normal. To test the near vision, use Jaggers chart and position the patient 14 inches away from it and record the visual acuity. Now to test the left eye for distant vision, cover the left eye with the cardboard and repeat the same procedure. Now to test the left eye for near vision, use the Jaggers chart and repeat the same procedure. If the visual acuity of the patient is less than 20 by 20, do pinhole test. Improvement in the visual acuity with the pinhole test suggests errors of refraction. Test both the eyes together. Tell the patient to look directly into the examiner's eyes with both of his eyes. Place the hands 2 feet apart and lateral to the patient and wiggle your finger slowly and bring your moving fingers forward into the patient's center of view. Ask the patient to tell you as soon as possible when he or she sees the finger movement.
Yes. 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 Close your right eye.
If you find the defect in the patient's temporal vision for the left eye, tell the patient to close the right eye, and you as an examiner will close your left eye and tell the patient to look into your eye, and the examiner will do wiggle test from the temporal side. Inspect the patient's eyebrows, noting their fullness, hair distribution, any scaliness under the skin or lesion. Note the position of the eyelids in relation to eyeball. Inspect the eyelids for edema, color, lesion or erythematous rim. To look straight ahead and inspect the width of palpebral fissure. Here the patient has a normal palpebral fissure. Observe the position of the eyeball within the bony orbit. Hold a pen 20 inch in the midline. Tell the patient to see the pen and rapidly move it up and then rapidly move it down in the midline. Watch the appearance of sclera between the iris and upper lid margin. Inspect the eyelashes and check for the normal growth. Check for the First, in the right eye, tell the patient to look up and depress the lower eyelids with the thumb, and then tell the patient to look down and raise the upper margins with the thumb. Same do with the left eye. This will expose the sclera and conjunctiva. The color of the patient's sclera is white, which is normal, and also the conjunctiva is pink in color, which is normal. To inspect the cornea, put the oblique light from the side and check for opacities in the lens, transparency, clarity, scars and abrasions and ulcers. Also, inspect the iris by shining the bright light from the temporal side. Dim the light and inspect the size, shape and color of pupil. Darken the room and ask the patient to look at the distance and do note the direct reaction which is in the same eye, which is the constriction of pupil. Note the consensual reaction in the opposite eye. Ask the patient to look at the nearer finger, which will lead to pupillary dilation, and then simultaneously to the farther finger, which will lead to pupillary constriction. Do this simultaneously and you will see the pupillary dilation and constriction. Ask the patient to follow your finger or pencil as you sweep through the 6 cardinal directions of the gaze, making a wide H in the air, leading the patient's gaze. Touch the both eyes together and examine 1 meter away from the patient. Do not let the patient move the head. Sit or stand at the patient's right side for examination of the right eye. Place the 0 dial in the illumination dial. Take the ophthalmoscope in the right hand and hold it vertically in front of your own eye with the light beam directed towards the patient, and place your right index finger on the edge of the lens dial in order to change the lens easily if necessary. Instruct the patient to look straight ahead, preferably at some distance object at eye level. Move the position to about 6 inches in front and 25 degrees in the right of the patient and direct the light beam into the pupil. A red reflex should appear as you look.
Good morning, I am Dr. Shubhodit, and your name?
Divyesh?
Okay, so today I am going to do the ear examination. Is that okay with you?
Yeah, that's alright.
Okay, so first I'll do the inspection. So first I'll ask, do you have any earache or any inflammation or any discharge?
Not that I know.
Okay, so I'll do the inspection.
Sure. Start.
Okay, now I'm going to examine your ear with this pen light. Okay. Okay, now we'll do on the another ear. Okay, so there is no discharge, deformities, lump or any skin lesion. It is completely normal. Okay, so now I'll be inspect your ear canal and eardrum using this otoscope. So I'll be inserting this inside your ear. Is that okay with you?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Okay, so now I'll be inserting the otoscope inside here, okay? Okay, now we'll do on the other side. Okay, so there is no redness or discharge of ear canal, and also your eardrum is pretty white, which is normal, and it is intact, not perforated. And also the cone of light is visible, contour is flat and normal, and also the hand of malice is visible, which is normal. Okay, so So now we'll examine for your auditory acuity. For that, I'll be performing 3 tests. So is that okay with you? Okay. Okay. So I'll say 3 words and number in combination, and you repeat after me. Okay. So first we'll be checking for the right side of the ear. Okay.
3UI.
Okay. Now left side of the ear.
532.
Okay. That's not.
Now, I'll be performing the Weber test for lateralization of the sound. I'll be placing this tuning fork over your head and you have to tell me if you can hear the sound one side or both sides of the head.
Okay. Can you hear one side or both side of the ear?
Both sides of the ears.
Okay. So as you hear the sound in both sides of the ear, so the sound lateralization or the Weber test is normal. Okay, so now I'll be performing the Rene test. I'll be placing this tuning fork with a gentle vibration just right behind of the ear and also the side of the ear. Okay, and response with the ears when you hear the sound. Okay, so first the right side of the ear.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, now I'll be performing the same test on the other side of the ear.
Yes. Yes.
The Rene test is normal and the ear conduction is greater than bone conduction.
Good afternoon, I am Dr. Piyusha. Today I am going to perform mouth, oropharynx and neck examination. So I will begin with inspecting your lips, your buccal mucosa, your teeth, gums and then your tongue. Okay? Okay, doctor. So for inspecting buccal mucosa, I am using here a pen light and a tongue depressor. Please open your mouth. Say on. Can you please open your mouth? Say ah. Ah. One more time. Ah. Please open your mouth. Take your tongue out. So for examination of the neck, first I will inspect the neck and then palpate for any enlarged masses around the neck. Then also I will check for any deviation in the trachea, lymph node enlargements and also thyroid gland. So now using the index finger on one side each of the trachea, I will check for any deviations. Take the sip of water.
Good morning, this is Dr. Priyanka and I'll be doing lung examination today. Is it okay for you?
Okay.
After taking patient's history and good hand hygiene, you are ready for the examination.
Fold your hands in this way.
Inspect the chest wall for any deformities or asymmetry in chest expansion, abnormal retraction or impaired respiratory movement. Identify tender areas by placing controlled hand pressure at random and where the pain is reported and the lesions are seen. Placing thumbs at about the level of 10th ribs with the fingers loosely grasping and parallel to the lateral rib cage, ask the patient to inhale deeply and watching the distance between the thumbs as they move apart during the inspiration. This gives us the range and symmetry of the rib cage as it expands and contracts. This is sometimes called as lungs excursion. Use either the ball or the ulnar surface of your hands. Ask the patient to repeat 99. This access transmission of vibration from the vocal cords and bronchopulmonary tree and thorax. Hyperextend the middle finger of the left hand. Avoid surface contact by any other part of the hand. With a quick, sharp but the relaxed wrist motion, strike the pleximeter finger with the right middle finger to transmit the vibrations through the bones of this joint to the underlying chest wall. Holding the pleximeter finger above and parallel to the expected level of dullness, percuss downward in a progressive steps until the dullness clearly replaces resonance. Confirm this change by percussion near the middle of the hemothorax. Place the diaphragm firmly against the chest wall to exclude as much extraneous noise as possible. Instruct the patient to breathe a little deeper than usual with his mouth slightly open. Auscultate corresponding areas as you listen, take note and compare the relative intensity and duration of inspiration and expiration in different areas of the thorax.
Say 99.
99, 99, 99, 99, 99, 99, 99, 99, 99, 99, 99, 99, 99, 99.
Say E loudly.
E, 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 E.
Say 99 again.
99, 99, 99, 99, 99, 99, 99, 99, 99, 99.
Thank you for your cooperation.
Thank you.
Before starting the examinations, make sure either you wash your hands or sanitize them with alcohol.
Hi, I'm Dr. Siddharth Kalra, and today we'll be doing
Start with the patient supine, then elevate the trunk to about 30 degrees from the horizontal. Turn the head slightly to the left. Illuminate the right side of the neck obliquely with a pen light, noting the top level of venous pulsations. Place ruler 1 on the sternal angle and align it with something in the room that you know is vertical. Place ruler 2 at an exact right angle to ruler 1. This constitutes the horizontal line. Move the ruler 2 up and down, maintaining horizontal position so that its lower edge rests at the top of jugular distension. The vertical distance of ruler 1 is the jugular venous pressure, and add 5 cm to it to get the central venous pressure. Hence, CVP is equals to JVP plus 5 cm. Carotid pulsations may be seen medial to and higher than the base of the sternocleidomastoid muscle. You may use your thumb or your index and middle finger to palpate. And then use the diaphragm of your stethoscope to auscultate the carotid pulse. Palpate the chest wall for any heaves or thrills. Using your finger pads, palpate the second intercostal space along the border of sternum and in the apical area. To check for thrills, palpate the same locations with the ball of your hand. Thrills suggest underlying turbulent blood flow. It changes how you grade your heart murmur. Stand on the right side of the patient, shine the pen light tangentially on the precordium and look at the apex beat. Place the finger pads of second and third digits over the visualized apex beat and note its amplitude and rhythm. Palpate for right ventricular impulse in the lower left sternal border. Place one finger in the third intercostal space and one in fourth and next in the fifth, and then feel for ventricular impulse in the epigastric region. Identify first and second heart sounds, place your diaphragm on the base and apex or vice versa, and as you listen to the heart sound, gently palpate the carotid pulse. The upstroke corresponds to S1, which is the beginning of systole, and the other sound is S2. Start from the base over the aortic valve region and inch gradually to the pulmonic valve area, then downwards to the tricuspid area, and then laterally to mitral valve area or vice versa. If a murmur is heard over the mitral valve area, listen for radiation by inching the stethoscope laterally and superiorly towards the mid-axillary line, the posterior axillary line, and to the infrascapular area. If a murmur is heard over the aortic area, listen for radiation over carotid arteries. Listen through several respiratory cycles. To listen for extra heart sounds S3 and S4, ask the patient to lie in left lateral decubitus position. Place the bell lightly over the apex and listen for possible S3 and S4. Ask the patient to sit up. This moves the left ventricle closer to the chest wall, and this helps in detecting the murmur of aortic regurgitation.
Hello, this is Dr. Mohit. What's your name? Can I know your name and age, please?
My name is Narendra Kumar. My age is 22.
Okay, so Narendra, today we are going to examine your abdomen. Is it fine for you?
Yes.
Okay. After taking history and proper hand hygiene. So here I'm going to demonstrate you how to examine the abdomen. So we are going to follow the certain step. Step number 1 for the abdominal examination, that's the inspection. So we have to make sure we have to examine our patient abdomen from the lateral side. Also observe our patient's abdomen from the end of the bed. So see the color of the skin, we have to see the symmetry of the abdomen. With that, we have to see the shape of the umbilicus as well, like is it flat or is it inverted or in other shape. And with that, we have to see is there any kind of the marks on the abdomen, like surgical marks or any scar there on the abdomen. And with that, we have to also see is there any kind of the visible capillaries or the veins on the abdomen. Is there any kind of the visible pulsation on the abdomen. Step 2 is auscultation. We used to do auscultation before the percussion and the palpation, because percussion and palpation may alter the bowel sounds. We have to listen at least one bowel sound from the each quadrant. So we have to auscultate the epigastric area as well for the aortic bruit. So we didn't find any bruit in our patient. So third step is we have to do the percussion. We have to make sure we are going to percuss the all four quadrant of the abdomen. With that, we have to also find out the position, or I should say the size of the liver on the right side or the upper right quadrant, and the size of the spleen as well in the left upper quadrant of the abdomen. So now we are going to percuss for the liver, like is there any kind of the hepatomegaly or not. So let's go. Somewhere over here. Okay, so the size of the liver should be under 6 to 12 centimeter. Okay, now this time we are going to percuss for the spleen. We have to make sure we have to put our patient's one head at the middle like this. Then we have to percuss the one side, and we have to feel the vibration and the other waves on the other side of the abdomen. Do it on the both side. Now we are going to do the next for the ascites, like shifting of dullness. So we have to first percuss the normal. After it, we have to instruct our patient to just go on the lateral side. Just wait for a while until that the fluid will just settle down, then percuss again and notice the resonant or the dull sound. So now here's the step number 4, that's the palpation. So here is the light palpation. We have to palpate the all 4 quadrant light. We have to search out is there any kind of the lumps, and at the time of just palpating the abdomen we have to see the face of the patient, and we have to see if the patient is feeling any tenderness or any pain in the abdomen while palpating, so we can see that. Now we have to go for the deep palpation. So for that we have to use our both hand for the deep palpation. So this one like this. To make sure our patient's all abdominal muscles should be relaxed. Means if our patient is complaining about any pain in the abdomen, we have to palpate that area at the last, the umbilicus as well. Palpate the special organ which are found in the abdomen, like first one is the liver and for the lower ribs, and then we have to just palpate somewhere over here. Generally liver is not palpable in normal patient, but in thin patient we can palpate the corners of the liver. But in the obese patient you have to just use this hooking technique like this one, and we can get the margin of the liver here, we can see. For the spleen palpation, so here is the spleen. So we have to just put one of our hand at the back of the patient and pull it upward, and then check out the margin of the spleen. From the mid axillary to the anterior axillary. We are going to do some special maneuvers that are related to the peritonitis, for the rebound tenderness and the Rosen sign as well. Press any side of the stomach and suddenly leave that place and ask the patient if they are feeling the pain. Press the lower left quadrant, and while rebound, if the patient have the pain on the right lower quadrant. Did you feel any pain on the right lower right side?
No.
So we don't have any kind of the rebound tenderness in our patient. Now please swear signs. So apply the resistance on the thigh and then instruct the patient to flex the thigh. So our patient is negative for this sign as well. So here for the obturator sign. Raise the leg and at the 90-degree rotate it medially, and then ask the patient if they are feeling pain, then it's positive for the obturator sign. The Murphy sign for the cholecystitis. So press with the finger in the right upper quadrant and ask the patient to breathe in and see is there any tenderness or not. It is negative for the Murphy sign as well, so it means you don't have any kind of the cholecystitis. Thanks for watching.
Hello, myself Dr. Shambhavi. Today I'm going to do your shoulder examination. So you have to remove your t-shirt. So is it all right with you?
Yes.
Okay. So begin with proper hand hygiene and sanitization. So for shoulder examination, firstly we will begin by inspection and observation. So we'll inspect our patient or symmetry of our patient's shoulder, see for any deformity, any lumps, any scars, masses or muscle atrophy. We'll also see posteriorly for any scars or lessons. So my patient is fine. So now palpating by medially here at the sternoclavicular joint, and then we will move laterally towards the clavicle. Okay, so it's fine. Here is the acromioclavicular joint. So palpate on the other side as well. This is the acromioclavicular joint. Here is the coracoid process. So we'll palpate here. Here is the deltoid muscle and the greater tubercle of the humerus. Again here. Now can you please move your hand a little bit posteriorly. Here we will palpate for the bursae. Okay. Same for here. Again here we will palpate posteriorly for the scapula as well. So now we are going to evaluate the range of motions of shoulder. So firstly we will begin by flexion, then overhead, both of your hands. Tell me if you feel any pain.
No.
Okay. Do extensions of your hands backward. Do you feel any pain?
No.
Now you have to do adductions of chest and tell me if you feel any pain. Okay. And you have to move your hand sideways and overhead. Do you feel any pain?
No.
Alright. Now for internal rotation you have to turn for opposite scapulae. Any pain you feel?
No.
For external rotation you have to do, make sure your fingers should be pointing towards the ceiling. So now we are going to start with special maneuvers. So the first one is crossover adduction test. Tell me whether he feels any pain. Do you feel any pain?
No.
Please crash test. Move your this arm towards your opposite scapula and tell me if you feel any pain.
No.
Okay. Knees impingement. Which compress the scapula with one hand and raise the other hand with another hand. Hawkins impingement. So for that, I'll move my patient's hand like this and try to internally rotate it and ask him whether he feels any pain.
No.
Now the next is drop arm test. So for that, I'll ask my patient to move his hand sideways like this and slowly move it down. So the next one is empty can test, which rotated. Make sure thumbs should be down, and now I'll put some pressure and he has to resist it and tell me whether he feels any pain or not.
Okay.
Any pain you feel?
No.
Or test for infraspinatus muscle. So make sure thumb should be up, and now I'll put some pressure and he has to resist and tell me whether he feels any pain while doing so. Any pain you feel?
No.
Here I'm done with my shoulder examination. Now I'm going to do wrist examination. So for that I'm going to see and inspect and observe my patient's hand. So on the palmar surface of my patient's hand, see for any deformities, any masses or any lumps or swellings. Now I'm going to palpate my patient's thenar and hypothenar eminences for any masses or deformities. So it's fine. Palpate the radiocarpal joint, here the wrist joint, each joint individually. This is the metacarpophalangeal joint. Then I'm gonna palpate the medial and lateral meniscus of the joint, and then this distal joints. Okay, so it's fine. Do with the other hand as well. You have to make a fist and release. Tell me if you feel any pain.
No.
Okay. Now you have to spread your fingers, and I'll try to adduct it and you have to resist it. Any pain you feel?
No.
Okay. Now with the thumb, do like this, adduction and abduction. Any pain you feel?
No.
Move your thumbs like this. Okay. Now with the thumb, try to touch the base of your fifth finger. Now you have to do flexion with both the hands. Any pain you feel?
No.
Medially rotate it. Okay. Lateral rotation. Then flexion and extension. I'll tap your this wrist and you have to tell me if you feel any pain in your second, third or fourth finger.
No pain.
This was Tinel's test. Now I'm going to do Felin's test. First reverse Felin's, then Felin's test. Like this. Do you feel any pain while doing so?
No.
Alright. Here I'm done with my wrist examination. Thank you.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Today we'll be doing your wrist and knee examination. Shall we get started?
Okay.
First I'll sanitize my hands. Can I have your hand please? We begin with the inspection. Inspect the dorsal and palmar surface of the hands and the wrists. Note for any swelling, deformities or muscle atrophy. After inspection, we proceed to palpation. Palpate the joints of the wrist. Palpate each radiocarpal joint by placing your thumb over the dorsum of the radiocarpal groove. Also palpate the metacarpophalangeal joints and interphalangeal joints as well. For interphalangeal joints, palpate the medium and the lateral aspect of each PIPs and DIPs. Then we look for the range of motion of the wrist. For range of motion, the first thing we look for is flexion. The second thing that we look for is extension, and then radial deviation, then ulnar deviation. For carpal tunnel syndrome, we first look for the Tinel sign, percuss the medial side of the palmaris longus tendon. The second test that we perform is the Felin's test. Ask the patient to press the back of both the hands together to form right angles. Ask the patient to be in a comfortable supine position with knees extended. Inspect for arrhythmia, swelling, alignment, and if any deformities. Now we proceed to palpation. For palpation, palpate for tenderness, warmth and crepitus. The landmarks you have to look for while palpating are the tibiofemoral joint, then the palpation of the medial meniscus, and last the palpation of the suprapatellar pouch. For this, when the knee is extended, start 10 centimeters above the posterior border of the patella. With your thumb and fingers in the grasping fashion, move your hand distally in progressive steps, trying to identify the pouch and continue along the sides of patella. While checking for range of motion of knees, first we look for flexion, then extension, then internal rotation, and then external rotation. After this, we perform special maneuvers, starting with McMurray test. Now we look for the drawer sign. After that, the Varus stress test. Now we perform the valgus stress test.
Good evening, I am Dr. Singh Anubhav and I am going to proceed with the trigeminal 5 examination, that is our. We will start with the facial sensation examination. For that we use one pin. For that its one end is sharp and other end is blunt. So we will ask the patient to close the eyes and tell the sensation. Close your eyes. Sharp or dull?
Sharp. Done. Sharp. Done.
Now we will do the corneal reflex examination. For that we will use one cotton swab and we will touch the cotton with the cornea of the eye and see the reflex of the patient. Make sure that the patient is not wearing any contact lenses. Now ask the patient to clench the jaw and we will check the muscle contraction and they should be equal at both the sides. Now we will proceed with the facial nerve examination, that is our cranial nerve 7. Cranial nerve 7 innervates the anterior 2/3 of our tongue. So we will ask the patient to distinguish the taste, if it is sweet or salty. We will ask the patient to protrude the tongue outside. Is it sweet or salty?
Sweet.
Now we will start with the motor test of the facial nerve. It supplies the muscles that make our facial expressions. So we will ask the patient to make different expressions. Now we will proceed with the cranial nerve 8, that is our vestibulocochlear nerve examination. For that we will first start with the whisper test. In that test we will whisper some numbers in the patient's ears and then we will ask the patient to say out them aloud.
21. 25.
30.
30.
We can repeat the same examination on both the ears. Now we will proceed with the Weber's test. For that we will take a 512 Hz tuning fork. We will strike the tuning fork and then we will place it on the midline and ask the patient if he or she can hear the sounds equally in both ears or not. This is to assess the sensory neural loss, hearing loss. Equal or not?
Equal.
Now we will proceed with the Raynaud's test. For that also we will use the 512 Hz tuning fork and we will assess the bone conduction and air conduction. Usually the air conduction must be approx 2 times the bone conduction. So we will hit the tuning fork and place it on the mastoid bone and then we will ask the patient if when she stop hearing the sound, we will place it near the ear for checking the air conduction.
No. No.
We will start with the motor examination of upper extremities. For that first we will check the basics like muscle tone and we will compare both the sides if they look equal, muscle strength and any bone, any muscle mass on the hands. We will also inspect and check for any spasm, tremor, chorea or any other movements like that. Now we will start with the shoulder abduction and adduction test. Now we will ask the patient to adduct and abduct first and then adduct the shoulders against the resistance. Now we will assess the elbow. Now we will start with the elbow. We will ask the patient to flex the hand against the resistance and then extend the hand. Now we will start with the wrist examination. For that, we will ask to deviate the wrist on the ulnar surface and then the radial surface. Your hand like that. Now we will proceed with the finger extension. We will ask the patient to extend her fingers as much as she can. Now we will assess the proximal and distal phalanxes. We will ask the patient to flex and extend the phalanxes. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Dr. Anjana Mini. Can I know your name, please?
Aishwarya.
So what's your age?
24.
Okay, so we're going to be doing the cranial nerve examination. Is that okay with you?
Sure.
Okay. So first, we're going to be doing the cranial nerve 9 and 10 examination. I'm going to sanitize my hand. Okay, so I want you to sip this glass of water. Did you experience any difficulty while swallowing?
No.
No? Okay. So there was no delay while swallowing and the patient didn't face any difficulty. Now I want you to say ah with your mouth wide open. Ah. Okay. So there is no deviation of the uvula and the soft palate and the pharynx are rising normally. In case of unilateral C intubation, the uvula points towards the normal side, and in case of bilateral C intubation, we can see that the palate doesn't rise. Now we are going to be checking the gag reflex. I'll be inserting this tongue depressor into your mouth to the back of the tongue. Open your mouth. Put your tongue down. Okay. Here the gag reflex is normal. In the absence of that gag, there is a CN9 lesion of the glossopharyngeal nerve. Now we're going to be moving on to the CN11 cranial nerve, which is the spinal accessory nerve. I'll be standing behind the patient and I'm going to be inspecting. So there's no atrophy or fasciculations around the neck. Now I want you to shrug both your shoulders against my hand. Don't let me push your shoulder down, okay? Okay, so there's no weakness of the trapezius muscle and the strength is normal. Now we're going to test for the sternocleidomastoid muscle. I want you to rotate your head on both sides against my hand, okay? Okay, so the sternocleidomastoid muscle strength is normal. Lastly, we are going to be doing the cranial nerve 12, which is the hypoglossal nerve. Okay, now I want you to open your mouth. Okay, so there's no atrophy or fasciculations of the tongue. And now I want you to put your tongue outside, protrude it. So the tongue is centrally protruded and it is symmetrical, there is no deviation. And can you please move your tongue side to side? Okay, this side. Okay, there's no weakness of the tongue. So we've reached the end of our examination. So any questions or concern? No. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Athra Mehta. I'm second year medical student. How about your name?
My name is Mihir. I'm 21 years old.
Okay, mate. So today we'll be examining your sensation and coordination. Is that okay?
Yes.
Okay, mate. Now I'll be testing your pain sensation. Please close your eyes and reply me with sharp or blunt. Okay?
Okay.
Close your eyes.
Sharp. Sharp.
Blunt. Blunt. Blunt.
Sharp. 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 Sharp.
Blunt. Blunt.
Sharp.
Okay, thank you. Okay, mate. Now we'll be testing your temperature sensation. Just close your eyes and reply me with hot or cold. Okay?
Cold. Cold. Hot. 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 Hot.
Okay, thank you. Okay, mate. Now we'll be testing your light touch sensation. Please close your eyes and reply with when you feel the touch. It's okay?
Yes.
Close your eyes.
Now. 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 Now.
Okay, thank you. Okay, mate. Now we'll be testing your vibration sense. Please close your eyes and place your hand forward like this. Okay. Close your eyes. Place your hand.
Vibration. Vibration.
Okay, thank you. Okay, mate. Now I'll be testing your proprioception. Just close your eyes and I will hold your toe and tell me the direction of the motion. Okay?
Okay.
Close your eyes.
Right, left, up, down. Left, right, up, down.
Okay, thank you. Okay, mate. Now close your eyes and identify the objects that I place in your hand. Okay?
Okay.
Close your eyes. Give me your right hand. Keys.
Bunch of keys.
Okay. Give me your other hand.
Coin.
Thank you. Okay, mate. Now close your eyes and identify the numbers that are drawn on your hand. Okay?
Okay.
Give me your right hand.
2.
Okay. Give me another hand. 3. Okay. Thank you. Okay, mate. Now close your eyes and tell me how many points are felt on your hand. Is that okay?
Okay.
Give me your right hand.
2. 2.
Okay. Give me your left hand.
2. 2. 2.
Okay, mate. Now close your eyes and touch the part after you feel the sensation. Is that okay?
Okay.
Close your eyes. Okay, thank you. Okay, mate. Now close your eyes and tell me if you feel the touch on both sides or only one side. Okay? Close your eyes.
Both. 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 Both.
Okay, thank you. Okay, mate. Now follow my actions as fast as you can. Okay? Okay, with the other hand. Okay, thank you. Okay, mate. Now tap your foot on my hand as fast as you can. Okay, thank you. Okay, mate. Now touch my finger and your nose alternately when I say now. Okay? Now. 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 Okay. Now with the other hand. Now. 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 Okay. Thank you. Okay, mate. Now touch your knee with your heel and run it down. First with right. Okay. Now with left. Okay. Thank you. Okay, mate. Now I'll be testing your gait. Please walk. Okay. Now please walk heel to toe. Okay. Okay, mate. Now please walk on your toes. Okay. Thank you. Okay, mate. Now please walk on your heels. Okay. Thank you. Now you have to hop on one leg. Is it okay?
Okay.
Alright. Okay. Now hop on one leg. Okay. Now other leg. Okay. Now you have to squat on one leg. Okay. Okay. Other leg. Okay. Thank you. Okay. Now I'll be testing your sense of position. For that you have to stand still for 1 minute. Is that okay?
Okay.
Okay. Now close your eyes. Okay. Now please raise your arms in front of you. Okay. Now close your eyes. Okay. Thank you. Okay, mate. That completes the procedure. Thank you.
Thank you.